يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين لله شهداء بالقسط ولا يجرمنكم شنآن قوم على ألا تعدلوا اعدلوا هو أقرب للتقوى واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون.
English translation by Sajid Mukhtar.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, most gracious, ever merciful. O ye who believe, be steadfast in the cause of Allah, bearing witness in equity, and let not a people's enmity incite you to act otherwise than with justice. Be always just. That is nearer to righteousness. And fear Allah. Surely Allah is aware of what you do. Jazakallah. The Holy Quran, chapter 5, verse 9.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the merciful. My distinguished guests, government and faith leaders, and fellow Canadians, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. First off, I would like to thank you all for joining us in this very important program organized by the Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association in collaboration with other faith groups. The purpose of this program is to bring the world's attention to the growing need for peace and sharing the pathway to peace that so many are yearning for. Your presence here is a hallmark of your commitment to love over hate, unity over division, and most importantly, peace over war. We thank you for standing in solidarity with the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jama'at and for sending a strong message to our world leaders about the importance of establishing peace. So now I would like to invite MLA for Delta South, Ian Patton, to say a few words. As this mosque resides in Ian's riding, we always appreciate his time in supporting our cause and sharing his thoughts.
Good afternoon. Love for all, hatred for none. What a wonderful saying to have and to live by. Thank you for inviting me today. I have a farm, third generation farmer in Delta, right by the Boundary Bay Airport. I've been there, my grandfather bought the farm in 1938. I was a dairy farmer, milking cows. Somehow I became a politician, I have no idea. But I still live on the farm, and my 96-year-old mother lives there with us across the street from us on our farm with my wife and I. Thank you so much. This is a very important program that you folks have put together to, especially for young people, to just recognize that it doesn't matter what faith you belong to, what religion you believe in, the world needs to calm down the world needs to find peace, whether it's in the Middle East, whether it's in Russia, the Ukraine, even here in North America. We need to calm down. We need to find some way to find peace. And Voices for Peace is just a really brilliant program, and I'm happy to be here today. I hope we can carry this on. I hope we can get young people involved, and I hope the message spreads throughout the world, especially to the Middle East, especially to Ukraine. Life is too short. Life is too precious. There's so many good things to enjoy on our short term on this earth without having to fight and create war. So on behalf of my party, BC United, and my leader, Kevin Falcon, thank you for the invitation. My office representing this riding, I represent right up until Highway 91, and my office is in downtown Ladner. So if you ever have an issue provincially, please stop by my office in downtown Ladner, and I'd be happy to have tea or coffee or a glass of water with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian, for taking the time to attend today and sharing your thoughts. So now we will watch a short video from Humanity First highlighting the horrific situation in Gaza.
The bombs can be heard in the background even as the aid workers arrive.
Hi, this is Aziz from Humanity First. In Rafah, Gaza.
1 million people are now crammed into the tiny city of Rafah in the most southern part of Gaza, and the sound of Israeli bombardment and gunfire reverberates into the atmosphere. Dr. Aziz appeals that a small team of aid workers into Gaza to assess the situation.
Humanity First is an international disaster response NGO, and all of the NGOs have been trying very, very hard to get access into Gaza. For us, the priority was to see our own staff members in Gaza, to assess their welfare, but also assess the needs on the ground.
Humanity First is one of the very first British NGOs permitted to enter Gaza since the war began more than 100 days ago. As the convoy traveled across the Rafah crossing and into Gaza, their rare entry into the besieged strip revealed to them the horrors of a catastrophic humanitarian catastrophe.
We all hear on the news the challenges within Gaza, but seeing is believing. Rafah City is full of IDPs, internally displaced people. More than nearly 90% of the population of Gaza is displaced to the south. We're seeing families where there are no toilets, and they have to pass the cold water in plastic bags for their own dignity. Families living out in the open. It's undescribable, sadly, undescribable.
The tragedy unfolding in Gaza is even a shock to aid workers like Osman Dean and Yusuf Aftar, who have responded to other humanitarian disasters in the past, but nothing like this.
When we arrived there, it was fairly late, the smell was extremely strong. As soon as you cross the border, the smells of sewage, blood, it's an extremely difficult to actually, in words, describe the smoke. It's an extremely strong smell. The lights are out, there's no electricity there, so it's difficult to find a way around. People had, the stuff that they had gone through. People left their homes that they've lived in all their life in.
But nowhere is safe. There's a humanitarian zone, a small humanitarian zone that you have to operate, but outside that humanitarian zone, which if I say it's about 2 kilometers in radius, beyond that, traffic lighting, they're constantly hearing shelling, and my heart goes out to the people of Palestine.
Israeli authorities are blocking access for aid trucks into Gaza as Human Rights Watch accuses it of using starvation as a weapon of war, and accused of aid trucks waiting to get in goes on and on. Food is scarce there, and when it does arrive, it's sold on the black market for 100 times its value. Children queue for hours just to get water. No water, no sanitation, little food, and little hope.
Sanitation issues, hygiene issues, risks to their health. If the bombs aren't going to or somebody's not going to shoot you, certainly the disease is going to get you, and that becomes very, very difficult. Respiratory conditions, skin conditions, not being able to have water to drink there, they have to stand for hours and hours, and that's including that amount of first staff as well.
There is no respite for the thousands of Palestinians forced to flee their homes. The cold has long set in, disease and hunger are becoming widespread. Hospitals in Gaza are almost non-functioning, with patients abandoned due to a lack of doctors and supplies.
We spoke to a doctor working in the Al-Shifa hospital who had evacuated, and she described how she had been evacuated from the hospital, coming out with her hands in the air, she had to leave her patients. Another neurologist we spoke to, who was in one of the IDP camps, he described the harrowing time, how he was seeing blood everywhere and unable to help the patients.
One of the doctors from Al-Shifa Hospital describes the scene there.
When Israel obligated us to leave Al-Shifa Hospital, we did many patients. We didn't know anything now about him. I see many kids, just kids, 12, 11, 15, all become quadriplegic. I lost many of my friends, my colleagues. Now I don't know if they are killed or in the prison.
The 319 from 91st conclude the 3-day assessment in Gaza, but the impact of what they saw doesn't leave them.
There's a part of me that wants to go back, and a part of me wants to stay in the team and see whatsoever want to go in Gaza. And that was partly because, just seeing the atrocities of what people were actually suffering, but also just the noise. It's quite traumatic, even when you come back, you're remembering, you have noise still buzzing in your mind.
The 91st has many workers on the ground striving to help those in need, but with 8 trucks blocked, supplies non-existent, and a war with no end in sight, there's only so much that they're able to do. Arthur Rashid, MTA News.
Okay, so now before I introduce our speakers, I want to remind everyone to please deliver their respective message in a respectable and empathetic way so that this may be a safe space for us all. Our first guest today is Mr. Bikramjit Singh Sandhar, who is representing the Sikh faith. He became baptized Sikh in 1995 and started learning more about the teachings of the Gurus. After this, he began looking at the world from an objective point of view, gained further self-esteem, confidence, and self-respect as he became further aware of his true self. Mr. Sandhar focuses his efforts towards youth development and is currently involved in this with the Gurmat Center in Abbotsford. He became Vice President at New Westminster Khalsa Diwan Society in 2006 and President at Guru Nanak Gurdwara, Surrey Delta in 2010. Mr. Sandhar? You can feel free to come up to the stage if you like, yeah. Up to you.
Getting old right now. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh, Assalamu Alaikum, and hello, good evening, or good afternoon. I haven't done this for a long time, but thank you for the opportunity, and I was glad when my friend called me. And last time I think we met together was in 2008 when I made a trip out to Prince Rupert area. And I mean, what you guys are doing, the programs that these are done, I mean, it's beautiful, bringing everybody together, looking at different perspectives, and every religion getting the best from them, see what they're all thinking and how they think and what their religion and what their scriptures are talking about. So I thank Vaheguru, thank Allah, thank God, because as Sikh we believe that there's many names for God, but there's only one. And we don't believe in idols, we don't do idol worship, we only believe in the one Almighty. And before I begin, as we talk about this topic today, voices for peace. I mean, right away, I mean, it resonates, I mean, would resonate with everybody, not just religions, but every person it resonates with right away. Because peace, every mom and dad wants for their family, every person wants for themselves, and every religion wants for everyone, all of humanity. So in the scriptures, I'm going to try to refer to our scriptures. I'm not very, very knowledgeable, but I do feel that I picked up a few things by doing sangat or hanging around with good people. So I'm going to refer to our scriptures in a little verb from our scriptures. It says, Avval Allah Noor Upaya, Kudrat ke sab bande, Ek Noor te sab jag upajya, Kaun Phale, Kaun Mande. So this is Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Our scriptures we believe as the living Guru. And we go to Gurdwara Sahib, if you go to our Gurdwara Sahib, you'll see that Sikhs are bowing down to our scriptures, Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And Guru Granth Sahib Ji is saying this, Avval Allah. So he's not talking about Vaheguru, he's talking about Allah. Right? He talks about God, he talks about Bhagwan, Ram, right? Ram, sometimes the Hindus sometimes mix it up as Ram as Ramchandra. It's not Ramchandra, it's Ram as Vaheguru, God. Right? So Ramchandra was a king, but Ram himself was who pervades with every little bit of creation. So Maharaj, in there he says, Avval Allah Noor Paya. He's created this creation. Kudrat ke sab bande. Everyone is created from is his creation. Or the Kudrat is his creation. Then who is good and who is bad? So I mean, who could be good and who could be bad? If he's the creator and he created everything, and why would he create something that's bad? He's created everything, and that's where we sort of see that what's going on today, you can see in Ukraine or in Palestine right now. Why? So when we say we got to have voices for peace, what is the problem? First we got to see what the problem is, and then we can look for a solution. What could be the problem? Why is this happening? In this day and age, there's that much hatred? Why? So questions that we need to sort of feel that why is there so much hatred? Could be hatred. So I mean, we're going to look at virtues. Because as a Sikh, we have a purpose. Like a lot of times when we go to school, university, the purpose is to get a good education, get a good paying job, and live a beautiful life, have a nice living lifestyle. And that's where our sort of goal is. And Guru Granth Sahib Ji, our scriptures, our Guru tells us what our purpose is. Our purpose is Pai Prapat Manukde Huriya Gobind Milan ki e teri variya. This is your chance to become one again with that Almighty. And how do you become one with Him again? How do you get that peace? How do you get that self-realization? How do you get to that consciousness? Again, by having the same kind of virtues God has. But what kind of virtues does God have? Right? The thing is, what kind of person is God? Who is God? Does God have hatred? I don't think so. Is God greedy? No. Is God a bully? No. I mean, so the scriptures, Guru Granth Sahib Ji, I think one time before in 2008 I started with, I'll start that with again. I'm just going to interpret the beginning of Guru Granth Sahib, the first little bit of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. We're talking about peace, the virtues we need. And these are the virtues that all of us need. Ek Omkar. That means Guru Nanak Dev Ji, our first prophet, he came, first Guru, he came and he said, he put the number 1 there. He didn't put O-N-E, he put number 1 there. So there's no mistake that there's only one God. So nobody can mistake that. Ek Omkar. He is the creator and his creation is infinite. There's no boundaries. You can't find the end of him. And don't try. Because when we see, like right now, science is trying to find what universe and the black holes and the whole work, it's endless. Ik Omkar Satnam. His name is truth. Karta Purkh. He is the creator and he's living within every bit of his creation. Just like somebody's going to say, well, I can't see God. Just like if you take a jar of milk and say that, you know where, is there butter in that milk? We know that butter comes from milk, but can we see the butter? No. or we can bring that butter out of that milk. That's how God resides within every little bit of creation. Every little bit of creation, God resides like that, just like butter in milk within His whole creation. So God resides in every single one of us. Every little piece that we see is all God's creation. Karta Purkh. Nirpao. He's fearless. He's fearless. Who does He fear? There's nobody equal to Him. And He's Nirvar. And those people who worship on Him, meditate on Him, become fearless also. You meditate on Him, remember Him all the time, you become fearless. Nirpao, Nirvar, He's nobody's enemy. So all this trouble that's going on here, all these problems that are going on there, they can call themselves religious, but they're not religious. When everyone here, we all have a solution, we all feel that there's a solution, there's a two-stage solution. We feel that. But why are they not doing that? But they call themselves religious people. So I feel that religion is only going to preach peace, and those are the true voices of peace. So He's Nirvair, He's nobody's enemy. Akal Murat. Akal means He's not within time. God cannot be grasped within time. He is an entity. He is an entity. God is an entity. He can be felt. He can be, when you see feel the bliss of Him, you can feel that. You can talk to Him. He's an entity. Akal Murat Ajuni. He's not born and He doesn't die. And where does He come from? Sabang. He is self-illuminated. He is His own creation. He has created Himself. And how do you reach Him? How do you meet Him? Gur Prasad. Gur Prasad means through your Guru. Guru means teacher. And teacher, and I always say that all religions are rivers flowing to the same ocean. Rivers flowing to the same ocean. Guru for the Hindus is Gita. For the Christians, the Bible. For Islam, the Quran. For the Sikhs, Guru Granth Sahib Ji. What do they tell us about Allah, about God, about Bhagwan? That's what our scriptures tell us. But now again, are we following those? Or do we have those virtues, the same virtues that God has, that God wants us to have? Do we have love in our hearts? Do we have love for everybody else? Or do I think, my religion is the best, I'm the best? If we start doing that, then we have ego. And these are the 5 vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. Those are the big generals that we have to fight. The 5 big generals we need to fight. Lust, anger, greed, attachment, ego. We have to overcome them. If we can overcome them, it's not overcoming them and just defeat them. No. Every one of those is also needed. But they should not be controlling you. You should be controlling them. Lust should be in your control, because that's how reproduction is going to happen. Children are going to come from. But that's going to be in your control. But don't be in its control. If you're in its control, you're an animal. It's got to be in your control. So those are the 5 vices that we need to control. And who tells us how to control these? Our Guru. Right? And I talked about our Gurus. Everybody has their own Guru, own teacher. And we have to listen to our teachers. And then we have to have the love in our hearts. And you got to remember that. That means remembering them all the time. If you remember God all the time, then you don't have no hatred. If you remember God all the time when you're doing something, and every time you reach out to do something, you remember God, you're never going to do anything wrong. Because God Himself, was there before all this creation started. Ad Sach. And when time and everything creation started, Jugad, or the artist started, Jugad Sach. Happy Sach. He's just as true today. And you know what? When this whole creation, that's like the Big Bang Theory we talk about, everything is expanding right now, and one day He might want to bring it all back together and stop everything, right? He'll still be true. So that's how Guru Granth Sahib, this is the first little few words of Guru Granth Sahib. That's how Guru Granth Sahib starts. And and then from there, all of 1430 pages of Guru Granth Sahib Ji expands on that. And where I read from earlier, Awwal Allah Noor Paya, Kudat Ke Sabande, Ek Noor Te Sab Jaku Bchaya, Kaun Pale, Kaun Mande, that's from Guru Granth Sahib Ji also. So this is something that we have to adopt this, and we got to start saying, you know what? We got to live in this world. How many people have come? How many kings have come? How many rulers have come? And they all have gone. But tell me one who's taken something with them. And this is where we have to realize. And one time, Sikandar Badshah, right? He's going with his forces. He's trying to conquer the world. Like now, a lot of people are trying to conquer the world. I want this piece of land. I want this piece of land. I want all the land, sort of thing. That's what's happening. People just getting. Remember the 5 evil? Greed was one of those, right? That's greed. That's greed. Just trying to take over everything. But at the end, taking nothing with you. You're taking nothing with you. So that's the greed. And Sikandar Badshah, he goes, this sadhu, this saint, sitting at the corner, at the side of the river, closed eyes, relaxed, right, doing his own meditation. And Sikandar, the king, he comes there, he goes, hey, you saint, tell me how to cross the river. My forces got to cross the river, and we're going to go over there. And the guy didn't say nothing. He just closed eyes and sitting there, relaxed. And then he asked him again. He goes, don't you know who I am? He didn't say nothing. Because he's supposed to be this big king, Sikandar Badshah. And the third time he said, if you don't open your eyes and tell me how to cross, I'm going to cut your head off. Right? Then the saint opens his eyes. He goes, what would you like? He goes, do you know who I am? He says, sorry, I don't. And that's a very thing that a lot of people, if a king says that nobody knows me, ego gets hurt. Right? But if you look at the whole universe and try to find Sikandar Badshah in this whole universe, and not even a particle of sand, right? Not even a little particle. Who are we really? We're not even a particle. And the saint, he said, what would you like? He goes, I got to cross the river and I'm going to go conquer the next land. He goes, awesome. He goes, you're going to conquer the next land? He goes, tell me how to cross the river. Where's the west base for my forces to cross the river? He goes, I can tell you that, no problem, but what are you going to do after you conquer the next country? He goes, then I conquer the next one. And after that, I'm going to conquer the next, I'm going to conquer the whole world. Then what are you going to do? He goes, then I'm going to sit down and relax. He goes, come and join me. I'm already sitting and relaxing. So I mean, what are we after? So I mean, Voices of Peace is a beautiful topic, but it's basically understanding it. And all these fights, all these wars have been happening because my religion is better than yours. But how are you better than who? Right? My religion is better than yours. And from the scriptures, if you want to know, I talked about it one time, long time ago too. It talks about which religion is the best religion in the world. I mean, everybody wants to know. Which religion is the best religion of the world? And from the scriptures, this is what the scripture says. Guru Arjan Dev Ji, your 5th Guru, this is what he says. Sarv Dharam mein Shrestha Dharam. The best religion of all religions. Sarv Dharam mein Shrestha Dharam har ko naam jap. Remembering the Almighty all the time. Har ko naam jap nirmal karm. And do deeds according to His will. Do deeds according to His will. What are those deeds? Killing these innocent people, are those deeds according to His will? No. Saving those people, is that a deed according to His will? Yes. So those are the things we need to be doing. Saving, helping, caring, taking care of, those are the deeds. And which religion? Any religion can do that. You can remember God all the time and can do deeds according to His will. And what are they? Hatred or love? What's His will? Sharing or taking? What's His will? I mean, simple. We can see that we teach our children all the time to have these good virtues. These are the virtues that we need. And if we can all adopt these virtues, this world will be a better place. And I can give you an example. I'm starting to learn now because we're going to have this whole thing going on with India right now too ourselves. And because, I mean, you can see that Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the rule, he was actually declared as the best ruler of all time. He had no jails in his time. There was mandars, there's masjids there, mosques there, churches there, and there's gurdwaras there. And everybody was prospering. The rule was fair. Just let me know if my time is almost up. Okay. All right. Okay. Because I sometimes get to go, keep on going. So no jails. Everybody's treated. Nobody's ever hung. So what kind of rule could that be? Can we bring that rule again? Absolutely. We can't depend on the governments because they get in, they don't want to get out. They're just there for their own personal motives. That's it. No real vision and no real mission. But people everywhere around the world can get together. I was at the protest in Vancouver for the Palestine protest. I was there because I want to make sure that yes, there's a two-state solution. Just do it. Be peaceful. Let them live by peace, and you live in peace. Let everybody live in peace. Why not? And that's the voice that has to come out loud and clear. And now government's going to bring that forward. Every person, every individual around the world, every religion, every person has to have a responsibility themselves and can't wait for other leaders to tell them, you got to do this. They got to just come up and start doing this. So this is something we all need to get done. So all the best to all. I really see, I love when I see youngsters moving forward, because you know what, we need the youngsters everywhere, and every religion needs the youngsters to step up now and come forward and have these virtues and have this bond, have this closeness. Keep on worshiping the way you want to worship, the way your teacher has told you to worship. Worship that way, right? Be a true Hindu, be a true Muslim, be a true Sikh, right? Be a true Christian. Be true to your religion, though. Don't have hatred. Right? Don't have hatred, just have love. And that'll bring peace to the whole world. I'm sorry if I made any mistakes or I hurt anybody by my comments, but I didn't ever mean to say anything that way. But may Allah, Vaheguru, God, forgive me if I did, but may God bring peace amongst all of us. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sundar, for taking the time to join us today and sharing your thoughts and experiences. So next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Michael Barkowski, who was representing the Jewish faith. Michael was born in Cape Town, South Africa, and studied economics, some legal subjects, and political science at the University of Cape Town, gaining the degree of BA Honors in Economics in 1977. He immigrated to Canada in 1980, initially for graduate studies at the University of British Columbia, where he earned his MBA, specializing in accounting and information systems in 1982. He served on a number of boards of nonprofit organizations primarily concerned with environmental protection, ecological economics, and sustainable business practices, and including several terms as treasurer on the board of the Ahvat Olam Synagogue, a small progressive synagogue that was established in the mid-1990s. Mr. Barkowski, feel free if you want to present from there, you can, or if you'd like to use the stage, you can come up as well.
I think it's good, like my colleague did.
Okay.
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much for being present here and being concerned about these challenging issues in the world. I would like to clarify that I don't have a mandate from any particular Jewish organization to be here. But I am a Jewish person. I was raised in the Jewish tradition. I am connected with the synagogue. I am troubled, deeply troubled, by what has happened. When we reflect on the conflict in Israel-Palestine, we're talking about a conflict that's over 100 years old now. It hasn't always been an intense conflict. It has had moments of relative quiet, but there have been violent deaths that are attributable to the political conflict practically every year, at least one or two, and some years a whole lot more than that. My mother, I should tell you, grew up before the State of Israel existed and before the Holocaust, which was such a searing experience for Jews, and was an idealistic person. She was deeply troubled by the injustice she saw around her in South Africa. She was a member of an organization called the Black Sash. But she had been in her youth an enthusiastic Zionist precisely because she saw a Jewish state as a solution to a problem Jews had had in Europe of oppression. And so much so that in 1948, she was there as a volunteer in the hope of helping this new community establish itself when it was being newly established. But over the years, she also became aware that the foundation of that state that had seemed like such a happy event for the Jewish world had also been a tragedy for the Palestinian Arabs. And she died in 2021 And my sister and I were reflecting at the time she died that it would have been hard for her to have, or in the period since she died, been so hard for her to see what has happened now, where the governments in Israel have drifted so far to the right and the nationalism has hardened so much. So I'm going to back off a bit from politics. I'm going to introduce something spiritual. I think it's going to be very consistent with what my predecessor just said. And I think it will also be in keeping with what the name of this very mosque that we're meeting in and which I wanted to be a guest in. Just because I'm going to read from our scriptures, I'm just going to cover my head in the traditional way and read a bit from the Hebrew Bible. Now, the Hebrew Bible, as you may know, consists of a number of books that are a large... The bulk of the Hebrew Bible is considered by the Christian faith to be the Old Testament. And the New Testament is not part of the Hebrew Bible, but as part the Christian Bible consists of an Old and a New Testament. And the Jewish version of the Old Testament, of what is known to Christians as the Old Testament, consists of the first 5 books, which are often called the 5 books of Moses. Moses, of course, being generally believed to be the same prophet who is referred to in the Quran as Musa. Moses actually isn't born until the 2nd book, but they're traditionally been called the 5 books of Moses. And then the Hebrew prophets and the writings, which include the Psalms and the Proverbs. And I'm going to read from 2 quotations from those first 5 books of Moses. We also call that the Torah. That's the one that's written down in a scroll that is used in synagogues. And I'm going to read 2 from the prophets. One of the quotes from the prophets is one that's particularly popular in the Christian world as well. And I think they're very uplifting ideas. So the first one comes from what we call the book of Vayikra, or Leviticus, is what it's known in the wider world. We describe that section of Leviticus as Parashat Shoftim. It's also in the Jewish and Christian versions of that book, chapter 20. And verse 23 reads, and I'll quote the Hebrew just for the authenticity of it, but I'll translate it into English. Va'aretz lo timacher litzmitut, ki li ha'aretz, ki gerim v'toshavim atem imadi. And the English translation is, and the land shall not be sold in perpetuity, for the land is mine. For you are strangers and mere temporary residents with me. So what I take from that is the humility that we need to show with respect to ownership of land. This is not Jewish land. This is not Arab land. This is not Muslim land. This is God's land. We belong to the land rather than the land belongs to us. If we get that right, we're on the right track to making progress. So 2 books along, the final 5th book of the Torah, it's generally known, again, beyond the Jewish world as Deuteronomy.